Hi, David. How you doing? I am going to tell you a story about my family. My mom and dad, your grandma and grandpa, excuse me, your great grandma and grandpa. Their names were Elaine Manson and Augustine Blasquez. So they met in the Del Monte Canning facility in Sunnyvale in the 1940s. And my mom worked there with her sister, actually two of her sisters. And while they were working there, they met some ladies from Mountain View, just one town away. And they were the sisters of my dad. And they thought that they should introduce the two of them. And so my dad's sisters introduced my dad to my mom, and they liked each other a lot, and they decided they were going to get married. So they actually got married at St. Martin's Church in Sunnyvale, and that's where I was baptized too. It's no longer there, it's gone. They built a new church, but for their honeymoon, they went to Lake Tahoe, and they had their pictures in the newspaper, and there's a story about them. And then they had three girls. The first girl's name was Sharon. The second one was Kathy. The third was Nancy. And I'm sure by this time my dad was hoping for a boy. He had three girls and a wife in the house, and he was the only man. Sometimes that could be lonely. Anyway, the next baby that came out was me, Michael. When my mom named me Michael, my grandfather was upset. You're very upset because the tradition in Europe, from where my grandfather came from, Spain, was to name the first male born after your father. So I was supposed to be John Blasquez, but I was named Michael, and my mom named me Michael Allen Blasquez. My middle name is Allen. And then when I was baptized, they were trying to make it up to my grandfather, so they gave me the name of John as my baptismal name. So my name is Michael Allen John Blasquez. And then when I was confirmed in the 8th grade at St. Martin's Elementary School, when you're confirmed in the Catholic Church, you get to pick your confirmation name. So I picked my name for confirmation, Sebastian. So my full name is Michael Allen John Sebastian Blasquez. Sebastian was what I picked because Sebastian is the patron saint of athletes. So I thought I was going to be a baseball player when I was a young boy, and that's why I picked that name. So then after me, my brother John was born, and then my brother Jim, and then my brother Rob. So there's 7 boys and girls in my family. I'm right in the middle, and I'm the first boy that was born to my mom and dad. So when I grew up, remember I told you that story about me running out the door with no clothes on? Well, my dad wasn't there because he was working. And he worked at nighttime, and he came home about 10 o'clock in the morning, and he usually would go right to bed because he was tired. He worked from midnight to 9 at a grocery store. And so I remember he would take me to his grocery store, which was in Redwood City. It was called Purity Foods. And I can remember in those days they didn't have a lot of space in their back room for storing groceries and stuff they wanted to sell, so they had an upstairs place where they stored things like like cereal and milk and all those things that you see in the grocery stores. So to get those downstairs, they had a conveyor belt. And I can remember riding on that conveyor belt. My dad let me ride from the top to the bottom. It was kind of fun. I really liked it. Anyway, as it turns out, my dad saved his money after buying his house. The year I was born, he bought his house. My mom and dad bought their house for $12,000 in 1957. And after that, he saved his money. He was making $120 a week. And he put his money away, and he finally had enough to buy a store of his own called 7-Eleven. And in the 7-Eleven, my mom helped my dad there, and my sisters and myself, we all worked in the store. And I used to put milk on the shelf in the cooler, and sodas and beers in the cooler. And I threw out the garbage and the cardboard. And I actually worked there with my friend Kevin. I talked to him about him. He's going to be one of the people I visit when I come see you in Maine. Anyway, so my mom and dad owned that store for 20 years. And they were finally able to buy the store outright. And they owned it for another 4 years. And during that time, my dad saved his money again. And he bought the shopping center that the store was at and sold it in 4 years after he bought it. And he made a lot of money doing that. And he sold his house in Sunnyvale that he paid $12,000 for in 1957. And in 1994 or 95, they sold their house for $885,000. A lot of money. And they bought a house in Manteca. That's a little bit east of the San Francisco Bay Area. And that's where they retired to. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you to give you an idea of where I lived. I'll still tell you more stories about it, and who my parents were, and my brothers and sisters, your great uncles and great aunts. So I hope you had a good day today, buddy. I'll see you soon. I love you. Kiss your mama for me. Bye-bye.